I cannot think of a better way to spend Valentine's Day than with my one true love. Dustin Ferguson movies. And you know, sometimes in a relationship, you need to look back to the beginning to think about where you began and the things that made you fall in love in the first place. So we went back to Fergo's very first film, nay, trilogy, to rekindle that flame and prepare to fall in love all over again. I mean, it's only love. How bad can it be? We begin back in 2010 with Dustin Ferguson's debut feature film, Terror at Black Tree Forest. And I should point out that DeFergo began his career just 12 years ago and is credited on IMDb with 116 directing credits, which amounts to almost 10 movies per year, or 10 credits, I guess, as some of them are shorts or what's listed as TV episodes of shows you've never heard of. Bear in mind, that means that he basically directs a movie or short or something every single month. I don't know whether to be impressed or horribly frightened. The opening credits tell us that it's Dustin W. Ferguson, and now I wonder what the W stands for, and I'm betting it's World's Greatest Director. We're in 1970 and oh yes, my old friend, the vintage scratched up film stock that's somehow magically in 16:9 format. And there's a vacation in family, and sackhead Jason kills dad and assaults the mom, or I guess that's what's supposed to be happening. It's two fully clothed people just kind of hovering over each other. And then mom is killed, but the little boy gets away, and Ferg's trademark style is already obvious. Like, he just sets up the camera and people run past. Next setup, people run past. Repeat. We then jump to 20 years later in 1990 then, and we have a group of friends planning a hike, and Dustin's spotty relationship with sound recording has already begun.
How long of a ride is this anyway?
Yeah, I want to get my rocks off. On the rocks!
There's a news report about an escaped killer, and yep, long takes of cars driving around and people sitting in that car, padding things out as much as possible, just as expected. The killer dons the sack, dreading sundown, and they walk around like, no kidding, there is a solid 8-minute sequence of them hiking through the woods with no dialogue, just walking. I guess he's going for a throwback feel for the whole film by setting it in the 90s and still uses the dumb old film filter throughout. But hey guys, when you use that filter, the scratches just repeat over and over again. It fools no one and is super lazy. And how about these night shots? Hey guys, did you know that nighttime looks just like daytime, only slightly more blue? The killer finally does something at the 42-minute mark, and keep in mind that this movie is only an hour and 5 minutes long, and the attacks commence, but luckily, the sackhead's an idiot, like he doesn't see these guys behind this tree. Look at this, they are clearly not hidden in the slightest bit. The killer's the little kid from the beginning, all grown up, and after coming down to just one final girl, it cuts to the next morning, with Mare possibly having been assaulted as well. It's unclear, but she says she killed him, and oh, Mare's last name is Strode. Get it? We've just passed the 1 hour mark, so we get the slowest credits possible to take us to 1 hour and 5 minutes. Like, 6 people worked on this movie. It does not need this slow of a credit crawl. Ferguson followed that up 2 years later with what was his second feature film, Escape from Black Tree Forest, in 2012. And we're given a flashback to Mare killing Killer Brian, and we're told that it's 2 weeks later. So it's still in 1990, and she starts losing it, putting a sack on her own head to emulate the killer, or possibly the killer spirit passed into her? Comedically, she cuts 2 round lopsided holes, but yet when we get a POV shot, they're symmetrical and eye-shaped, like a Michael Myers mask, and she kills her mom. There's now another group of youngins headed up to the woods for a hike, and there's definitely some post-1990s cars around, but hey, there's a blockbuster, so there's that at least. And then, here's the beginning of it. This is it, the first instance of the now famous several minutes of characters walking around a store sequence. This time it's in an organic food market, which I'm sure probably existed in the early 90s, but definitely not in a small town like they're setting this in. They stop at Crystal Lake, making sure to walk around a lot, and we're at the 36-minute mark, and we've literally just met the characters and had them drive to the woods. Nothing has happened so far outside of the whole mare thing at the beginning, and then after what else, more walking, they arrive at the campsite at the 52-minute mark, if you could believe that, and we get the backstory of a woman in the 50s giving birth to a disfigured boy. And then we're shown the footage from the first film's intro again, and next on the cavalcade of pain is several minutes of the most awkward dancing you will see this month. The killing starts with the final girl ending up in a car with Mare. I assume she's the final girl. This one character, Chuck, just literally vanishes and is never seen again. And Mare's dad shows up to shoot her and then himself. And that's it. It's even more pointless than the first one. And there's 8 minutes of credits on this one. 8! The trilogy was completed, later that year in 2012 with Black Tree Forest 3, which starts off with a faux horror host introducing the movie. The opening credits have a Halloween ripoff thing happening, which is something that has been in several Ferguson films I've seen, and it's Halloween, and our lead sits and waits to be picked up like she should have a pumpkin on her lap or something. They go to, of course, a store and do some shopping. And you know, I swear this is the same sequence that he did in Camp Blood 4 or 5 or whatever that was. It might be the same Halloween store. I'm not gonna go check to see if it's different girls, but it's the same premise. 2 girls stopping by a Halloween store to shop for several minutes in order to pad the time. It's like videos of people shopping is Ferg's fetish or something. It was like he did the scene with the people in the supermarket in the last one and watched that footage and was like, this is what people crave. This is what's missing from movies today. Browsing. Reminder, we are 15 minutes into the movie, and here's what's happened. 2 girls talked on the phone and decided to go to a party, and they've bought their costumes. That's it. Then, oh hey, Chuck, who disappeared from the last movie, is back and in therapy, discussing how he met his girlfriend from that one, and their first date was a fair. We know this because we are treated to several dialogueless scenes of them walking around the fair and doing things, which, you know, is really important to the narrative arc of the characters. There's no way to cut out any of this stuff. It's really important development to see him win this clown picture. Again, I am not joking. This is a 5-minute sequence of 2 people doing stuff at a county fair. Dustin was like, oh hey, there's a fair in town, so let's go shoot there because it's good production value, and then because of that value, refused to cut a second of it. He says this date was a year ago, and in the flashback, after a long-ass stretch at the fair, he says he's going camping in a few weeks. So we're 1 year after the last one and set in 1991. Chuck snaps and decides he must be the new killer, and they completely steal the whole killer steals a knife from an old lady making a sandwich bit from Halloween 2. And then, oh my god, they break away from the movie with a fake let's go to our sponsors thing, and then show an entire 6-minute Halloween safety public domain video, which is something he did in that Night of the Clown movie, and I thought that was the only time he pulled that trick, but it's apparently a thing he does. anything to pad time, right? The cop from the last movie, the one who they kept cutting away to but didn't actually do anything except show up at the very ending to shake his head, he reappears, and the kids are headed up to the woods and they hear a news report about the escaped Chuck. So they hear a report about an escaped killer who is involved in a massacre in the area that they are headed to, and they even think that they see him, and yet they continue up to the woods. And again, we're 50 minutes in, and our group is just now getting to the cabin. Then, remember in the last one where they used that terrible day for night look and it was very obviously daytime? Well, I prefer that to this. This shooting at night with hardly any light at all, so I have no clue what is going on here. There's another musical interlude with embarrassing slow motion dancing, but you can't see it, so thank you for that. Instead of wearing a sack, Chuck has a blank white mask, and I think he attacks. I can't really tell what's supposed to be happening here. I actually don't know how to recap this because I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna lighten up the footage when I edit this so I can, I guess, see it, but I'm pretty sure the cop shows up and gets killed, and our final girl makes it to morning. She easily kills Chuck with what appears to be a light slap on the head with a board, but she's picked up, and the ending is so incomprehensible, I'm not sure what happens, but I think the driver kills her, and then the news at the end seems to say that he's the Highway 77 strangler, a killer not even mentioned earlier. And then, yeah, a long list of credits. So then in 2021, someone said, wow, we need to remake something, and every single thing on the planet has already been remade. So I don't know, let's just do a remake of Terror at Black Tree Forest. And someone else said, but it's just a bunch of kids going to the woods and getting killed one by one. There's nothing distinct about it to even remake. Even the killer is a direct copy of another couple of them, so it's not like we even get this unique villain. But for whatever reason, Sam and Mason Bell decided this was a thing that needed to be done, and starts with a young couple in the forest, and within 5 minutes, it's significantly more polished with higher production values, actual actors, and hey, lighting, go figure. Of course, a group of friends are going camping up in the forest, and the use of iPhones and modern cars says that we're not matching the 90s setting for the others. There's still the same audio issues though, with a ton of dialogue that's just too damn hard to hear. And they actually talk about the events of the first film and say that it was 50 years ago to the day. So it looks like this is actually 2020, but the story is a little different since there's now a group of escaped lunatics and says 20 years later campers were killed. So this isn't a remake, it's in continuity. Things take a long time to happen, but it's not like we're watching people walk from point A to point B, so instead of mind-numbing boredom from tedious scenes, it's just a general kind of boredom from nothing really happening and watching people talk, although the acting is pretty okay. Characters make terrible choices all around, like refusing to believe that things are real no matter how dire things get, and when the killer's revealed, it's the old, the killer is a girl, even though they've been portrayed as a man in every previous scene. Although I'll admit the killer was pretty shrouded in this one, so it's not so blatant. And they have a final fight in which Caroline wins, but a post-credit scene lets us know there's another killer on the prowl. So there you have it, it's 4 movies, 3 of which are directed by the true love of my life, my Valentine, Dustin Ferguson. Yeah, you know, if you've seen these or even heard of these, I guess give yourself a pat on the back, but let me know down in the comments below if you've gone this far into the Fergs filmography. And yeah, Dustin, if you're out there, be my Valentine. Be my Valentine. Put it in the comments below. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you see. Check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/movietimelines. I'd appreciate that. Help keep this channel going. And yeah, keep on watching these videos. I love all of you guys. You're all my Valentines, I hope. I'll be your Valentine. I'm pretty easy that way. And I'll see you very shortly for another great video. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.